For this look, I searched the internet high and low for prosthetics that looked similar to Art's and weren't too expensive, and finally after searching for witch prosthetics, I found this Sweet Apple Hag foam latex piece from mostlydead.com. It has the prominent brow and cheekbones, the hooked nose, and elongated chin, and I believe it was around $60. It was big for my face, but for this particular look, all the edges are either going to be covered or camouflaged by the makeup, so it really wasn't too big of a deal. Since it was a bit too big, my game plan was to just get the nose and center of the forehead glued down first, so I could see how it was actually going to sit on my face, and then just take it from there. Overall, I'm super happy with the piece, and I was so excited for this look. I'm using Aide to adhere the prosthetic to my face, applying it in a thin layer to both the inside of the piece as well as on my skin, letting it get tacky, then carefully lining up the center of my face and pressing down on the nose and forehead. Then I'm moving on to the mouth area and under the nose, again applying the Aide to both the prosthetic and my skin. I also needed to very carefully cut the nostrils a bit bigger with some small scissors so I could breathe a little easier because they didn't quite line up with mine. I'm continuing to glue down the prosthetic, taking it in fairly small sections and working from the center out until the entire piece is secure. It was a little tricky seeing everywhere, so if you do have someone who can help you with this part, that would be super helpful. For a better fit along the sides of the jawline, I'm carefully cutting one dart on each side in those areas, then sticking the back piece down first, then pulling the front piece up until the puckering is gone along the edge, and then pressing it on top to secure. I'm going to do the same thing under the center of the chin, just cutting a small dart, then sticking one side down first, pulling in toward the center of the face until it's snug, then crossing the second piece over top and doing the same. The modifications you make may look different depending on the shape of your face and how the prosthetic fits you, but this is just what I did to help give you an idea. The only area I had issues with sticking down was just above the chin. The inside of the chin on the prosthetic was a bit more flat than my own chin, so it was kind of fighting against that and just wasn't able to stay along that edge. And I suppose I could have tried to cut out some of the piece on the inside, but overall it wasn't a huge deal for the look, just a little bit annoying. Now that the face is fully stuck down, I'm going in very carefully to glue down the edges around the eyes. I'm doing my best to pull the prosthetic away from my face while applying the Aide, and I'm applying it just a very little bit at a time. I'm applying it around the entire eye first, letting it get tacky, then pressing it down in sections to secure. If there were any little areas along the edges that I missed, I went in after with a small amount of Aide and just applied that over top of the edge. I then decided to cut a dart in each side of the temple area of the piece, which I would have made longer, but I had already glued it down. And I'm not gluing these darts down since they're back into my hair, just so they can cross over each other and not pucker underneath the balaclava. So now that everything is stuck down, I'm applying a no color face powder all over the edges to get rid of any stickiness from the Aide. And I forgot to glue down these edges along the jawline, so just applying a little Aide, then powdering after it's dried. And this is what we're looking like at this point. Not too shabby for my first prosthetic in years, I would say. I'm pretty happy with this. And I was planning on going over some of the edges with Aide cream to blend them out more, but I felt like it really wasn't necessary for this particular look. I'm brushing away any excess powder with a clean, big, fluffy brush, and then before moving on to the makeup application, I'm putting on a wig cap to secure my hair and the top edge of the prosthetic. Then putting my balaclava on over top. Definitely put this on before doing your makeup. Now, when I made this one, I didn't really take into account that my head was going to be a little bit bigger than usual thanks to the prosthetic, so it's a little tight, but it's fine. Then I took the wig cap off once everything was secure. And also, we're just going to ignore the fact that you can see the edge of the prosthetic underneath. I totally forgot how see-through this fabric was. So for the makeup, I opted for white and black water-activated paints. They're super easy, you don't need to apply any base products to the prosthetic before or powder it after. So I would definitely recommend this just for simplicity, and the end result looked great as well. I'm using a basic wedge sponge to apply the first couple layers of white all over the face and getting under the edges of the balaclava as well. You just want to make sure that each layer is dry before applying the next, and overall I was really pleasantly surprised with the coverage of the white paint. It went on super easily and layered well. For a final layer, I switched to this finger brush from Delium Tools. It's kind of a fluffy, dense, flat top brush, so I could really get into all the little wrinkles and crevices because this prosthetic has a lot. So again, just going around the entire face and under the edges of the balaclava. I'm then going in with a black eyeliner to line the waterline all around the eyes, and then with a flat round brush, I'm painting in the eye areas with the black body paint. I'm first marking where the little points will be above and below the center of the eyes, and I would definitely recommend using a smaller detail brush for this. Then I'm filling in the entire eye area with the black body paint. And one tip I have when adding the black to this full white base would be to start out much smaller than you think, then slowly add on until you're happy with the shape, since it is such a pain to fix with the white. Of course it can be done, and I definitely had to in some places, but if you can avoid it, that would be ideal. Same thing for the mouth. I started out much smaller than I wanted it to be, then built the shape out from there. And I have to say, adding the black to this, I just kept getting more and more excited as I went. It's so simple, but obviously the black adds so much to this look, and I was just having so much fun. So here you can see I did get some black on the chin, so what you want to do is make sure it is totally dry, then go over top with your white paint, and you'll want to be sure to stipple it and not swipe it to get the best coverage. Then with a small detail brush, I'm defining those little points above the eyes, and again I needed to fix up some spots with the white here using that same technique. I'm using the same brush for the brows, starting out with a light layer by applying hardly any pressure just to get that base shape down, and then I went in and darkened / thickened the lines. With all the little wrinkles and details of this prosthetic, it definitely made it trickier to get nice clean lines, so that's just something to be aware of. Start out with a light pressure, use your other hand to stabilize, clean up any areas with the white where you need or want to, be patient, and you'll be golden. Again, using the same detail brush to define the shape of the eye areas, clean up the edges, and define the points below the eyes. Then the final detail with the black, the little wart or mole on the tip of the nose. Again, I'm using my other hand to help stabilize my working hand, and starting out small, then building up the shape. Okay, just kidding. One more thing with the black. I'm defining the edges around the mouth, then applying a black lipstick to the rest of the lips. For the teeth, I'm using Mouth FX in Down Brown. This gives a really cool temporary mouth-safe effect that is great for photos and videos. I put just a few drops in the lower gum line, then kind of swish it with my tongue to spread it around. And then I decided to add like just the tiniest bit of contouring. I'm using this kind of cool toned brown, getting a tiny bit on my fluffy eyeshadow brush and applying it lightly under the cheekbones, to the temples, and down the sides of the nose. Like seriously, for like a hint of contour. To complete the makeup, I put on my little hat that I made from a felt sheet and elastic cord, and I made the costume as well, everything except for the gloves. Those are just like white marching band gloves with the tips of the fingers cut off. And I'll try to link the pattern I used below if I can. The one I used was from the 70s and I just found it randomly on Etsy, but I'll see if I can track some down. And the balaclava pattern was separate and I found that from an Etsy seller, so I will link that one below. But anyway, I had such a blast with this look. Like, it's seriously one of my favorites I've ever done. 10 out of 10, recommend BR for Halloween. It's so fun. Okay, so that's everything. Be sure to check the description for all the products and info. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have the best spooky season. Bye, guys.